Okay.
Okay, so Perla had a question specifically on canceling, right? So canceling payments, I guess, can you just reiterate your question again, Perla?
Yeah, so if you could just explain a little bit the difference between the process where the hotel or resort was coming up as a free cancellation option versus non-refundable. You had mentioned that if it was non-refundable, client would need to Zelle downtown travel. I would assume that if it comes
Okay.
up as a free cancellation, we can then process the payment ourselves.
Yes, so that's the thing, right? So there's a few different ways. This is a little bit of a process, which is why I'm glad you asked the question. So you can see on my screen, right, how this is a free cancellation option. They have the ability to cancel up until September 8th. Now, this isn't for client knowledge, this is for you, okay? The reason I say it's for you is because you're still putting non-refundable on the invoice. You don't want to get hit where they're like, I'm canceling the hotel and I'm not getting back the wholesale supplier rate, right? You want to use it as if they have to cancel, okay? You have it written as non-refundable on here with whatever else you write. However, you can say, say they have to cancel before the 8th. You know what? It is non-refundable. However, I reached out to my supplier. I'm able to get you that $7,552 back. But the wholesale supplier rate stands. Like that's already been handled. There's nothing I can really do about that. But I will be able to process that cancellation for you. It'll take about 5 to 10 business days to be refunded to your card, right? And that cancellation process is pretty easy with them. So if I was to go to my orders, okay, so I have all these stuff, right? It'll say if things are charged. These ones I did charge, right? So let's look. So they essentially would have a penalty because it's past the certain date, right? Non-refundable. Okay, let me go to a different one.
What app are you in?
I'm in downtown travel. I'm just under orders.
Okay.
So let me just think of, all right, I think this one I can do. Okay, so free cancellation until May 11th. After May 11th, this is the penalty, okay? But you could see their total trip was charged $10,000, right? I obviously made instant commissions on this, but I could refund them the $10,415, okay? Whatever wholesale supplier rate that I have on my invoice would still be mine, right? But if they wanted to cancel that and that was here, I could essentially, all I have to do is hit cancel and something will come up to confirm it and then it'll be processed. Are you with me on that?
Yeah, I
Yes.
meant like when you were on your search, like when we were looking for like a hotel in Italy,
Yeah,
how
so I'll
some
get to
of the
the
rooms were
non-refundable.
coming up non-refundable. Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure you guys knew like why that's there and what that purpose was first, because non-refundable is non-refundable in this sense. So if it's non-refundable and they have, it shows up in red, right, where it says it's non-refundable, I'll go ahead and do it again.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
In the scope of the non-refundable. So even if it is a non-refundable, then that's where we could encourage them to buy the travel insurance to
Always.
cancel for any reason.
I always
And
do.
then, okay. Thank you.
And it's a really easy sell. Like I that's why I always tell my clients, I'll do it all from start to finish. And if they don't want to do travel protection, you guys, before I even pay for a trip, they have to sign a form saying they decline insurance. And I'll show you guys what that form looks like. Okay. It's this whole thing where they usually get scared and are like, oh crap, quote me out insurance, right? So let's go ahead and just show you if they were to do a non-refundable rate. Alrighty. So let's just say I want to book this room. Okay, so this is up there, right? And I wanted to book this room and I click book. So essentially, I'm not going to be able to book it until I do two things. Okay, it's going to say, type in this information, right? So you have to deposit it. That's what this check portion is for. So essentially what's going to happen is the client is going to Zelle them. I'll give you guys the Zelle info. The client is going to Zelle them, but I would still call them before you have the client do that, so they have eyes on it. I have a relationship built. I kind of know the process, but until you guys do, I would kind of just call them and say, hey, I have a client that's going to Zelle you XYZ. Keep an eye out for it, right? And I'll show you what that process looks like. But this is where they'll, once they look out for it, they see the money and the Zelle has hit their account, they'll add that money here. So then you can go back in and really click the non-refundable to be able to fill out these details and charge the card, because they'll have added that money into your quote unquote bank, right? They'll add it right here. So then you can go ahead and pay for this. Now, as far as how you do it, okay, let me go to my Zelle because I think I've done it for a hotel before. So there's two things. One is you want to send an email, okay, with a screenshot of the Zelle confirmation, right? So I'll give you guys the info, but once the client has sent the, my brain's dying, the Zelle payment, you'll go ahead and you're going to message help@thebestagentpro.com. I would make your subject urgent Zelle payment made for Spina Hotel. Okay. Hi, downtown travel team. Heads up, you should have received a payment from my client XXX for the amount of, what is this amount? $58.63.48. So 50. $63. Via Zelle. I am looking to book the following. They don't do it for you. They like to know the info, right? What's it for? So Spina Hotel, Superior Room, September 12th through 21st, 2024. please confirm you have received this and added to my account to secure. Thanks, Nikki Lowe. I'll put my phone number in case they need to call me. And I will attach that screenshot. So have your client send it to you, okay? Now, are you with me on this before I give you the email? Does this part make sense, you guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So the Zelle email. It's going to my bank.
So essentially, we don't have to have our own POS system to do it this way.
If you do it like, are you talking about like through Square and stuff, or what do you mean?
No, like through like downtown travel like this right here. We don't need, like I've been taking in payments through my POS and then distributing it, but I don't need to do that then.
When you say taking in through, can you describe a little bit more? Like when you say your POS?
Like taking their charge card as
Yes.
a payment to my company and then turn around and then putting it out to the different vendors that I do my package through.
Okay, so are you saying like if they were to authorize a charge through like TravelJoy or something, and then you pay the suppliers accordingly? Is that what you mean?
No, I set up my own POS account system through my company that I have my company name on and my federal ID and everything through.
So that's like a, just so you know, that's a big no-no.
Oh,
You're
okay.
not supposed to collect the money, and this can be confusing. You're not supposed to collect the money and take ownership of that money yourself for a variety of reasons, right? Because then,
Okay.
you know, that can get confusing. Like, for example, there was this whole shit show that happened with IntelliTravel and Carnival, where she essentially did that. She said she did that, and then she never paid the vendors. And then now she has this whole lawsuit on her. You know what I mean? Like, it's just for lawsuit purposes, because then you're basically claiming like you took their info, but it's like, well, what did you do with it? Right. So have
Oh,
what
okay.
you have, eliminate that POS. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to implement TravelJoy, because TravelJoy, I'll show you, you can get their info and then you can distribute it without taking their money. Right. So the money
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
get taken without this, right? So essentially, if I look at CC authorization form, okay, the client has to type all of this stuff in, and they have to authorize a charge every single time. So even if you don't have a package, you know, all in one right away, sometimes it takes me time to build it and they have to authorize it each time. It's all in here. And I also have my terms and conditions agreement right here that basically says they're authorizing the charge. Now, one thing I have to explain to people from time to time, when they're like, oh, I paid it, it's like, okay, awesome. If they say they didn't see it right away, yeah, no problem. Just to let you know and remind you, it's just an authorization. So just think of it as like a thumbs up, go ahead, I give you permission to charge my card. But until I take that info and plug it into the supplier, it's not technically paid. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so I would do it that way. You can now bundle what you're typing in and have it show as a package. It's a new feature that they did add. So if I was to go in off of, let's see, is this my trip? Okay, yeah. So if I go off of, where's that invoice? I thought I created an invoice. So let me just go to them, because I do have to look at something for them anyways. Okay, so if I look at that invoice, see how I have all these line items? And then I have different authorizations. If I click edit, right now it shows all of the breakdowns. What I like now that they added is show as package. So now if I preview it, instead of seeing a line item for each thing, it's gonna just show them a total, which is perfect, right? But at least you have it line item by line item. In case
So I can
they
keep an
wonder
account of it.
exactly. So if they are like, well, what's this charge for? You can go back and you have it on here that it's a separate line item and you have the charge for that amount. Does that make sense?
And this still allows you to put your instant commission on it with Travel Joy too?
Yeah, so see how I have wholesale supplier rate here, like I did, you know, on the other invoice?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna just pay yourself, right? So, okay, I have 70 bucks on here. But what I'm gonna do, because I had to book through this through another supplier. So I charge myself for that, but you're gonna just pay yourself that $70. It's the only difference. You have to think of Square like your old POS system, but this is just for your money only. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's that. Now, I think I was looking up the Zelle thing. So give me a second, y'all.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Thank you.
No, you're totally fine. This is my third trading today, so my brain's kind of dead.
Well, I knew there had to be a simpler way than what I was trying to do it. I'm glad that you've done this, so because it's such a hassle the other way. I mean, granted, I've only had to do it twice, but still it's a hassle.
It is. All right, so Zelle at downtowntravel.com is the email for Zelle, and it will pop up as MB Travel Corp, okay? So if they don't see you're authorizing a payment to an unknown whatever, right? It should say MB Travel Corp. If it doesn't say that, it's not the right thing, and do not send the Zelle, right? If anything, I would tell your clients, just send me a screenshot before you send it so I can make sure it's sent to the right thing. But that in a nutshell is that, all right? Are we good on the Zelle portion? Because I know there's a few other questions that were asked. All right. So Maya, to your point, so that's going to be another training that I have on my channel. And with you being under Alexis, let's not focus on that right now. I want you to focus a little bit more on like the marketing stuff that we talked about. So connect with Alexis on that, or connect with me via Messenger so that we can regroup and maybe get you a coaching call with me so that we can kind of strategize. But that's in reference, the 500 that I was talking about is for my travel planning fee, which is independent of the wholesale supplier rate. That's really just for consulting services. This is just my commission markup because of the vendor that I'm using. Now, as far as complaining about our fee, if it's all about posture. So I have never received complaints. I've received objections. What is this? And I'm like, yeah, that's actually a great question. I'm like, the reason there's a separate line item was so that I could use a supplier that's a wholesaler where I could save you money. This was the only way to do it. So the total that I gave you over the phone, which totals $58.63.40, that number doesn't change. What you do see is the broken down line item for two different prices, equaling that total that we discussed over the phone. I do that so that when you see multiple charges on your bank statement, you don't question what those charges are for. I'm telling you up front what to expect. And leave it at that, right? It's all about confidence. If you make it seem like it's in their favor and their advantage, there's nothing for them to question. I've never received pushback. I've worked with corporate on this. I've worked with, you know, people that pay a lot of money. I've had objections like that. Very common question, but very easy to overcome. Anything else, you guys?
I have a quick question about the credit limit. So I did have 2 bookings, and every time I have to go and ask them to do it. Is that the way you have to do it all the time? Because I now, even though I have 2 bookings so far, and it's still 1,000, I think, for my
See if they
credit.
can increase it. Just say, hey, can you increase my limit? I'm starting to book a lot more travel, and I'm wondering if you could increase my credit limit to like 3,000 or something. Mine
Oh.
started at 4,000, but that's because I booked a lot of travel. Then
Mhm.
I recently had to ask, and I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, I have $5,000 every day that I'm doing, right? So she increased it to 13,000 for me, which is very
Okay.
uncommon. The reason they do that though, you guys, is for our advantage, just so you know. It's because if you have a credit card limit on there that's a super high amount, and say someone, God forbid, hacks the system, plugs it in and charges that amount, you are taking that hit, so the lower credit limit is really to your favor.
Okay.
So if you just notice yourself booking higher things or more often, then yeah, I would bump up the credit limit a little and ask if they can do that for you. If you receive any pushback, just hit me up. And then I'll talk to the girl, because I have a good relationship with her.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Any other questions? Let me know via Facebook. You can message me. Let me know how it's going too. I want to hear about your wins. Post about your wins on Travel Knowledge 2.0, right? Doesn't matter if it's booked through Archer or not. We all want each other to make money and win. Jalen, yes, it's only for my my team members, but I would hit up your mentor and maybe their goals. Like, so Maya, for example, she's not my direct mentee, but she's under one of my agents. So then she's technically still a part of my team, which is why I offer those coaching calls. However, if your mentor isn't someone that you're able to do that with, ask who the gold is, or maybe the platinum, and connect with them so that you guys can start to strategize how to achieve your goals.
Thank you very much.
Of course. All right, guys. Well, go make some money. And I will chat with you later. See ya.